What on earth have I just witnessed? Chelsea were not only mauled this evening, we didn't even turn up. This is one pathetic performance. This is one of the worst performances I have ever seen from players in a Chelsea shirt. This was so bad, and I was so full of hope after seeing that lineup and seeing a lot of Cobham graduates there, a lot of players that are going to fight for that shirt. The game plan this evening was just absolutely abysmal. Pass the ball amongst the back four to Edouard Mendy and see if we can hit him on the break, find some space, and get the ball moving quick up the pitch. Didn't work. Didn't work at all. And we tried this for a solid 70 minutes. About 70 minutes of that game, we tried the same game plan and we pulled it off maybe once, maybe twice. Any more than that, definitely not. We couldn't even string passes together this evening. These are supposed to be technically gifted footballers, and their heads are completely gone. They were unable to create anything, and Newcastle just absolutely bombarded us. Their press was organised, they attacked in numbers, they put pressure on everyone. Mendy, Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, Gallagher, everyone got absolutely attacked, and they put heaps of pressure. And it worked, because we couldn't do anything with our possession. All we could do, we might as well have played Route 1 football this evening. I think it would have gone better than what we did. Like, literally, hoofing it up to Brozier, trying to find him in some space to chase the ball down, we would have actually created more opportunities and might even have nicked a goal tonight. Like, seriously. But what we did instead was a joke, laughable. I can't get over how bad this performance was. It was so feeble. It was so pathetic. Like, you go into this game, you go to St James's Park, this is a throwback now. This is a throwback fixture. Like, Newcastle are not mugs anymore. Like, Newcastle are serious teams, serious ballers, serious fighters. They're playing for that shirt. They've got momentum. So to go into that game with this approach, to be so laboured and to be so void of ideas is truly worrying. Truly worrying. Like, Graham Potter got it very wrong today. Very, very wrong. And I think Loftus-Cheek coming off, so early, definitely put a big foil in his plans, but the reaction to that and how we played after that was so bad. Like, we needed to have made another change. Like, it was just so poor. Armando Broja was just isolated by himself the whole game, feeding off scraps. Like, credit to him, he chased down as much as he could, but he knows he's got to be frustrated. Like, this is what I get. This is where I get my minutes. Like, on games like this, where I got to, I can't even get the ball to feet, can't even attack in numbers. I've got to do this all by myself, hold up the ball against Botman and Shah, who were absolutely immense. They got dogged performances. That is exactly what we don't have. Where is the presence? Where's the physicality? This game was screaming out for Zakaria. Why is he on the bench? He needed to be in the middle. Jorginho had an okay game, but it would have been a lot more. Like, they were infiltrated so easy, Kovacic and Jorginho. With Zakaria in there, it might not have been so easy. Oh, it was just pathetic. Like, I went into this game not filled with optimism. Like, obviously we've been playing poorly. We're in the mud at the moment. We need this World Cup break, but this is the last game before the break. I just expected a bit more fight. And literally, the possession that we had and what we did with it is absolutely shocking. Have we got a number of players that have got their eye on representing their nations? Was it a timid performance from players that knew they were going to be representing their countries a week later? Is that what it is? Like, I don't think so. I saw Mount chasing down everything. I thought, is it on their mind? Like, they might pick up an injury here or there. It's hard not to assume that, but from what I saw, most of those players, they put their foot in and they did their best, but it was not good enough. Too many subpar performances tonight. And it just all came from the game plan. Like, tactically, you've got to start pointing the finger at Potter for this performance. Like, this performance was so bad. He got it so wrong. I really feel like the lineup should have been able to create more of an impact in this game. When I saw Broja, Gallagher, Mount leading the line, I thought, fantastic. Lewis Hall, fantastic performance tonight. Fantastic, maybe overdoing it a bit. Composed performance. He fizzed the ball to Mount numerous occasions. He tracked back well. Like, this is a promising left wing back we've got here. I'm sure that's not his favourite position, but he did such a good job. Like, I feel more confident with him there than I do with Cucurella, who came on and just absolutely flaps about and makes a mess of things. who's not adjusted to this Chelsea team at all yet. Lewis Hall, mate, he was straight in there and he did absolutely bits this evening. Like, he was unfortunate. He got a bit carried away in the second half. Some bits caught out of possession, did some sloppy passes. But in general, that was a performance from Lewis Hall. But there's not many other players I can say that about on the pitch tonight. Honestly, Gallagher had one to forget. Gallagher was maybe played out of position, not where he likes to be, but he really couldn't get a grip on the game. And on that right-hand side, we were so poor. Azpilicueta and Gallagher, you know, it might have been Loftus-Cheek and Gallagher had Loftus not gone off, but Azpi and Gallagher, they were literally a mess. Joe Willock ran Azpi ragged. He had to hook Azpi. He had to hook Azpi at half-time for Pulisic. But on the right, we were a joke. We really were. On the left, with Mount and Hall and Koulibaly, it was a bit more solid, but in all honesty, we came out unscathed. Like, Newcastle were wasteful, and if they had been on it more today, they would have put 3 or 4 past us. They would have. Like, we were pathetic. And I just can't understand what is going on. Like, it seems to me like morale. It seems to me like the team aren't believing in the process, and all these things, all these toxic narratives are the only thing I can point my finger at, really, because how can players of this quality put in such a poor performance? It has to come down to managerial structure. I'm not calling for sackings. I'm just calling for a wake-up call. Like, what's happened, what's been going on hasn't worked. You know, he tried to change it up tonight. It didn't work. And I don't know if these ideas are too outlandish for some of these players, and some of these players are just not adopting the ideas. Like, I do feel like we do have a few bad eggs in this squad, but when I saw the starting 11, honestly, I felt more positive about this game. But I got no positives to take from this game. The game plan was just horrendous. Big credit to Newcastle. Newcastle put in a spirited performance. They did their thing, they did their job, and this was what we expected. But we didn't fight. We didn't do anything to nullify that. We just tried to back pass, sideways pass, back pass, sideways pass. How many times did we pass the ball to Mendy? How many times did we just pass the ball to a defender in space instead of looking forward? Where was Jorginho? Where was Kovacic to collect the ball in areas? They had people on their back. That's the thing. They had players on their back. They had Bruno G on their back, Longstaff on their back, Dan Burn. Like, these guys were, Chris Wood, everywhere. They ran, and then when the ball was in the Newcastle half, absolutely no pressing. Just sit back, wait for them to come again. This is like literally man for man. If you look at the squad, the players on that starting 11 for each team, like, how many players would get in, like, based on quality into the Chelsea team? Barely any. If maybe one, maybe Bruno G, that's about it. Like, maybe Almiron, but that's form. In general, like, why is our form so bad? Why are we producing such poor performances? It's a joke. It's a joke. Newcastle have got it together. Arsenal last weekend have got it together, and it's just painful to play these teams who are spirited and who are fighting for each other, and we're just a complete mess. Just disjointed, absolute 6s and 7s. No one knows what they're doing. No one knows what role it is. It's all new. Oh, let's try this one. Let's try that. And it's too much rotation. It's too much trust in players that shouldn't be given the trust. And that goes to some of the more senior players. And it's time for a new gen. It's time for a new wave now. Like, we're 8th, and we are far from the top 4. We're 8 points adrift, and losing again. I called it second, third game into the season when Tuchel was still manager. I said, this season is a write-off. But with Potter, I thought maybe new manager bounce, things have come back around. No. We've got a serious issue with Potter not knowing who's his strongest 11, who he can rely on, and we've got a serious issue with some of the personnel in this team just not at the standard we demand from them. Like, the performances are subpar too often, and yeah, we are in the mud 100%. This World Cup break, been screaming it. Everyone's been screaming it. It's come, thank goodness. Like, Chelsea can address and build, and Potter's going to have some time, which he deserves. He's a fantastic manager. But I hope he starts getting a bit more of a ruthless streak in him, because he needs it. Because some players are taking us all for a bit of a ride at the moment. New players, new signings. I don't want to, just because they're new signings, they should not be given, should be afforded any luxuries. New signings for me are really playing poor, and they've got to be hooked. And players like Lewis Hall, who are coming in, putting in solid performances, deserve to start, deserve minutes. Armando Broja deserves minutes. There's a big problem in the middle of the park. We've got Dennis Zakaria just sitting on the bench getting rusted. Like, why? Why? This was a perfect game for him. I just can't get why he wouldn't start, come on, anything. Really, really disappointing performance. Really disappointing game to watch. Little melee at the end, and rightly, like, good to see it. Good to see Kai Havertz, who, comes on, and he just gives you something. Like, I don't know what it is. When he comes on for 90 minutes, it doesn't seem to really be that significant, but he comes on and he brings something, and it's like, okay, but I just feel like there's a few mercenaries. Pulisic, to me, is just playing like a mercenary, like out for his own cause. I've made a few too many excuses for him. He comes on bright, but it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough from Koulibaly. It's not good enough at all. It's not good enough from Jorginho for me. Like, even Kovacic is having a few bad games at the moment. That midfield, that anchor of midfield, is really run ragged at the moment. I just don't know. I don't know. Don't want to throw more money at the problem. Don't want to get onto players who are great servants and have done amazing things for this club. But where are we at the moment? Like, I thought the transition had already begun, and it looks like it hasn't started yet. The process hasn't even started yet. And you got to feel for players like Mount. You got to feel for players like, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, come in and they just give it everything. Like, they're literally setting standards and meeting standards of what this club demands. But there's so many other players that are just not meeting it, and they've come into this team, come into this squad, and they're just happy to, put the shirt on, but they're not really getting it. Like, they're not getting what is needed. This is not, this is not an easy league. Every weekend is a fight. Newcastle away, St James's Park, is a fight. Newcastle 2022 are incredible. Like, you've got to bring it. I've got to see something special. And it's just poor. It's very poor. But overall, I do think tactically we got it wrong tonight, and I think that was the main thing. I think we approached this in such a feeble, pathetic way. Like, we didn't want to win this game. We wanted to soak it up and potentially, snatch and grab a goal on the break. It's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. We're Chelsea. Like, we shouldn't be doing that. All credit to Newcastle. No disrespect to Newcastle. Great team. But, like, we're putting far too much respect on Newcastle's name at this point, especially going into the break. I don't know, maybe that played a factor. I'm just yo-yoing with ideas. It's a very, very, random video. I'm just spewing ideas, but that's just what happens when you're upset, you're angry, and I don't really know what else to suggest. Tough one. Tough L to take. I really hope Potter puts in a rigorous training camp from here on up until December, because we need it. Only positives: Reece James, Ben Chilwell, who are not going to the World Cup, are going to be fit, going to be back for our return against Bournemouth, I believe it is, Boxing Day or the day after Boxing Day. Fofana, we've got our injuries. I'd love to see Fofana back in that centre back. Chalobah is doing fantastic. That's been the one sort of shining light from all this misery at the moment. Chalobah's been brilliant. Like, what maturity he's shown with his performances, and we've gained a centre back in Chalobah, at least a very solid one. But yeah, it's messy. It's messy, and harsh decisions are going to need to be made, and I hope they're made over this World Cup break, because it's now or never, really. I think Potter will start to feel a bit heated at the moment with the way things are going, and he needs to turn it around. He's got a break to do it in. Guys, let me know. This is going to be the last Chelsea video I'm going to do for a while, obviously. But I will do some England videos. And I will be, sort of dabbling in a bit of World Cup content, of course. How could I not? Greatest show on earth. Can't wait for it. But yeah, it's a shame this one has to be such a somber outro to our third season break, whatever you want to call this, this World Cup break. What are we, 16 games through the season now? So yeah, just under halfway, and it's bad. It's bad, guys. Let me know what you think. What was so wrong today? This is why I just have spewed a lot of things I felt were wrong, but I'd really like to know what you guys thought was wrong with the performance this evening, player wise, tactically. Like, let's hear it. Like the video if you did. You know, try and cheer me up after this pathetic performance we witnessed this evening. And subscribe to the channel, of course. Going to be more World Cup content. I'm going to make sure to drop that every now and then, dabble and dot that around the very congested fixtures of the World Cup. And I'll see you very shortly. Not sure when, but I'll see you again very shortly. In a bit.